This is big news. A range boost of about 30 miles is expected for the Model 3. While it may not sound like a lot, you have to remember EVs don't really compete as much with other EVs as they do with gasoline cars. If we go directly to the news source, actually there is potential for more than 30 miles of range. Check this out. The world's largest battery manufacturer, CATL, is to begin production of its M3P batteries, not to be confused with Model 3 Performance, which are 15% more energy dense than LFP batteries, which is what Tesla uses right now for all of their standard range Model 3s. If we just take their word as truth, which, it may not turn out exactly like that, we could expect an improvement of up to 15%, which would be up to 41-ish miles, but this battery would first have to scale and the cost would have to come down because before you are producing a lot, it will not be as cheap as you would like it to be. And there's one more caveat right here. So they do say that it will be more energy dense than the LFP battery, and then they say it will also perform better and cost less than nickel and cobalt based batteries, which is what Tesla uses for the performance versions, for example, of their vehicles and also long-range vehicles. Based on this wording, it would appear to me that these new batteries would be a little bit more expensive than the old LFP batteries, but certainly less expensive than the nickel cobalt based batteries. Taking that into consideration, I think it is much safer to go with Sawyer's estimate of 10% in a boost in range. However, I think actually Tesla would just keep the range the same but drop the price, because then it would need to use less battery cells. And that is great because Tesla is mostly competing with gas cars for sales, not with other EVs. The most important part is to reduce the prices of the vehicles, because then the market share increases exponentially. There are so few people in the US that want a $60,000 vehicle compared to a, let's say, a $25,000 vehicle. A few more important things about this. CATL is of course based in China, so these battery cells will not be shipped to the US. However, within China, CATL has a factory, and a huge factory of 70 gigawatt hours, about 5 kilometers, about 3 miles away from the Tesla Shanghai factory. And it is difficult to understand the scale. People throw around these numbers as if people are really good at math. Let me simplify this for you. So let's assume that an average battery size is about 60 kilowatt hours. That one factory alone from CATL can produce more than 1 million battery packs per year to satisfy Tesla. And currently, that roughly matches how many vehicles Giga Shanghai can produce per year. Not exactly, but yeah. There's a rumor going around that Giga Shanghai is about to expand a little bit more. If the rumor is true, maybe CATL could just build another factory right next to Giga Shanghai. And because that factory is so close to Tesla, it's almost as if Tesla really is in control of that factory, because the logistics make it so much cheaper for Tesla to buy these batteries. It just makes more sense to sell these batteries to Tesla. Of course, we often have these battery breakthroughs, but oftentimes they just do not materialize. This, maybe it will materialize, maybe it will not. We'll see how it actually goes. They have this technology that allows them to create batteries that are twice as energy dense as Tesla batteries, but the question is, at what cost? And also, they haven't started mass manufacturing yet, and they are only planning to build a small battery plant in relative terms to what Tesla actually needs. So until they actually announce mass production and we know exactly what prices these are going to be at, I remain somewhat skeptical. But this announcement from CATL, they already have a technology. They can already seemingly produce it at somewhat large scale, although that also still needs to be scaled, but because the improvement is relatively small, I think they are going to scale pretty well. That seems a lot more promising to me than announcements like this. I mean, we hear announcements like this pretty much every month, and then you never hear about them again. Never. Never. On the other hand, this does not seem to be all that new. CATL announced that it was working on the new battery in August last year, and the news of its success was revealed by the chairman at an investor day briefing last Friday. Now, of course, CATL is a huge battery manufacturer. In fact, CATL accounts for more than a third of total battery sales globally and currently supplies Volkswagen, BMW, and Ford, as well as its main customer, Tesla, with EV batteries. But because CATL has a factory so close to Tesla, it's almost like Tesla owns that factory anyway. Here are some more details about the battery. While the precise chemistry of a new battery is not known, the new M3P battery, such a terrible name, is an improved version of the LFP chemistry where the iron is replaced with a mix of magnesium, zinc, and aluminum. So the MP3 is still a lithium phosphate battery. I just realized that whoever wrote this article mixed up the name of the new battery. It's M3P, not MP3 like the music players used to be called. And here's the good news. It does not seem like we will need to wait for years and years and years for these batteries to be put in Teslas. It's believed that Tesla's Model 2... Wait, did he mean Model 3, or is he actually talking about the cheap new vehicle? I don't think he has any insider information, but yeah, well, he also does mention the Model Y, so I would assume that would be the case for the Model 3, obviously, as well. It's believed that Tesla's vehicles produced at the Shanghai factory may be built with the new batteries within the next few months. We also have more good news from Morgan Stanley here. If you look at the battery inventory in China, this is the red line that you want to follow. It's increasing. What does that mean? That means the battery prices are going to decrease. Not only is the inventory increasing, but also the lithium price is just falling down and down and down. Still, every single day, there hasn't been a single day where the price was not lower than the previous day. And in the new note, Morgan Stanley today is saying that they are actually prepared for more price cuts in EU and also in the US. They say that the major links in the EV value chain are all dealing with considerable inventory levels. Our China team believes destocking has a long way to go. China is the world's largest auto market and by far the largest EV market, and has for years been the most profitable auto market in the world. And Morgan Stanley believes that Tesla's profits, well, 30 to 40% of them come from China. While Chinese light vehicles are not on sale in the US market yet, yeah, we don't see BYD vehicles here, we believe excesses throughout the battery supply chain could find a way to ex-China markets over time, driving competitive actions. While we believe Tesla should be able to achieve its goal of a minimum 20% auto gross margin in Q1, this may prove difficult to defend in subsequent quarters in the event of continued downward price competition and slowing economic growth following recent events in the global banking sector and knock-on impacts on the consumer. Bring it on, BYD, bring it on here all the way to the US. The US has very high tariffs if you import vehicles from China to the US, 27.5%. Chinese automakers would need to build factories outside of China to import these vehicles to the US. I think it's just simpler for them to sell these vehicles to the European market instead of to the US market. Because to import vehicles to Europe from China, they only have to pay a 10% tariff. So that's not that big of a deal. Because labor is so much cheaper in China, you can still be wildly profitable if you are good at building vehicles, if you import vehicles from China to the European Union. Elon tweeted before saying it's close, one more round of refinement needed. He was speaking about FSD specifically, and Omar asked, one more round of refinement needed until what? And Elon Musk clarifies, still a few legacy neural nets are using single cam, single frame that need to move to surround video. That should create a noticeable improvement, because if you see everything around the car, not just what's in front of this one single camera, yeah, that should provide a noticeable improvement. Tesla introduced the referral program back in Europe, but also here's what's interesting. So if you just used this program, typically you will earn 2,000 credits by referring a buyer to Tesla, and the buyer earns 100 credits. You can use these at the Tesla store. But if the buyer takes delivery before April 1st, then these are quite a bit bigger. 10,000 credits for the referrer, and the buyer gets 5,000 kilometers of free supercharging plus 100 credits. So Tesla is certainly doing the end of a quarter push here. And this right here is one of the most insane things I have ever seen, and you will see an autopilot also swerve to avoid something. This is going to be quite a bad crash in just a moment. Whoa. Interestingly, the person walked away, they said uninjured. Crazy how that's even possible. I guess Kias are also fairly safe, at least that one was, because surprisingly the driver of the Kia was actually able to walk away from this unharmed. And pay attention here how the car swerves, the one that we are in. See? Bam. It avoided the tire. The tire probably was not going to hit the Tesla, but it did the maneuver anyway, which was the right call. It also boggles my mind how some people said that you can print trillions of dollars and not cause inflation. Elon replied to this tweet saying it's mathematically impossible to print trillions without inflation. Yeah, I agree with Elon. Very true. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Postius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.